Good morning, grade 7. I'm sorry for the delay since I had a problem with my internet connection and I'm trying to fix it over, right? So let's continue. We are still in the middle of the discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning, new. Litter trash, waste paper, or garbage lying scattered about. Recycling is the process of reusing the given product in which may be beyond the intended of use or producing a new product from a recyclable material. Just like if you have a um, the soft drinks bottle, the bigger soft drinks bottle, 1.5 I think, you can always recycle that one instead of throwing it away because it may contribute to the problem with um, garbage in our area, in our environment. So those are one way on how to recycle those materials, right? With recycling, the need to burn and conserve spaces in landfills will be reduced. Organic waste may be also converted into compost materials in your backyard. So this is also the reason why we need to separate biodegradable from non-biodegradable. Those biodegradable will be added in the compost pit or compost, and those non-biodegradable will be converted into another useful material or we need to recycle, right? Pollution is the production of harmful substances or introduction of harmful substances to the natural environment. As people keep on using fossil fuels, they increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the air. What will happen if we will be increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the air? Are you familiar with carbon dioxide, grade 7? Grade 7? Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. If there is an increased amount of
Yeah.
carbon dioxide, tendency is there will be what it will actually trap heat. Okay, since carbon dioxide is a what a greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas means to say that it traps heat instead of reflecting it back to the atmosphere. Okay, let's move forward. Scientists reported that this accelerated increase in carbon dioxide is affecting global temperature on Earth's climate. Correct, because it can cause um, greenhouse effect since this gas is a greenhouse gas. Let's take a look at greenhouse effect, greenhouse gas, and global warming later. Air pollution. Human activities have had a great impact on Earth's atmosphere. They cause changes in physical and chemical composition of the atmosphere. Most of the materials added into the air as a result of human activities are undesirable and are most pollutants. Okay? Pollutants means it can actually cause pollution. Chemicals produced from burning fossil fuels form a smog. A smog is a combination of word smoke and fog. Okay? It causes respiratory ailments, reduces road visibility, and makes life uncomfortable. This is because of what we are doing. Okay? Burning fossil fuels or burning what garbages. It can cause smoke and fog with or smog. There are simple ways to reduce air pollution. How? Okay. Number one is prohibit the burning of trash. When you burn your trashes at home, you are actually creating air pollution because those are chemicals. Limit the time in which the chimneys or of factories are allowed to emit smoke. Are you familiar with the chimneys of the factories, which actually emits a lot of smoke? And those are burned materials. Those are burned chemicals from their factories. The third one is regulate the smoke coming out of the vehicle tailpipes. Okay, from your vehicles, from your cars, you need to regulate also the smoke coming out. That is why um, the government tried their best to control the smoke coming out from the vehicles. They have the smoke belching. Okay, if you're going to check on your environment, check on the people in your environment, or check on your government, what are the things that they're doing? They're trying to check on the vehicles that running in the streets and checking on if there's smoke or the smoke coming from their tailpipes are pollutants already or can cause pollution. So here comes the smoke belching. Water pollution. Industrial activities produce industrial waste that enter seas, rivers, and lakes. These waterways deplete the supply of dissolved oxygen and threaten marine life. Dissolved oxygen. We're talking about dissolved oxygen. It is actually the oxygen that is suspended on water, which uses or used by plants and animals in order to survive or marine life. Okay? Your waste materials, which actually suspended or sometimes suspended on seas, rivers, and lakes, can actually deplete the supply of oxygen. Hence, some of the marine life there will definitely die because of lack of oxygen. Phosphates in detergents and fertilizers is an example of water pollutant. Okay, phosphates that enters the seas, rivers, lakes, and lakes stimulates the growth of algae, which consistently, if not intervened, would result to algal bloom. Are you familiar with algal bloom? And the subsequent death and odorous decay of large amount of plants and animals. This condition is called eutrophication. Okay? Algal bloom. So this is the sudden growth of algae, which causes death to some um, some animals or marine life. Okay? This is because of the phosphates. And again, you are now polluting the seas, rivers, and lakes. That's the problem. Phosphates in the detergents, the one that you're using when you are having your laundry, those are detergents. Those are chemicals also that can actually pollute seas, rivers, and lakes. Mercury and lead is an industrial waste. Further cause contamination of water. Mercury in water is absorbed by fish through their gills during respiration. In humans, the ill effect of mercury poisoning can be irreversible and fatal. Lead poisoning causes headaches, dizziness, and insomnia. In acute cases of lead poisoning, there is a stopper, progression to coma, and terminating in death. Mercury. So, this is now the harm. Why? Um, Sometimes um, these bigger fishes, big fish, has a harmful effect. Before, there's no harm on eating those large fishes. But now, there's a problem or there is a harm of eating those bigger fishes. Why? Because of the mercury and lead contamination. They tend to absorb those mercury and lead, and there is a harmful effect in humans if in case. Well, that is a problem. Take note, it is irreversible and fatal. Okay? Are you familiar with Mercury? Not the planet itself, no. Are you familiar with Mercury? Mercury is the what is a Mercury? Grade 7? Are you still with me? It's not the planet. No. We're talking about the element Mercury. Are you familiar with Mercury, the element Mercury? Hmm? Grade 7? The element Mercury. Okay. The element Mercury is the only liquid metal. Okay. This is an element which is a metal, has a metallic characteristic, but it is liquid. Okay. Since this is metal, it conducts electricity and conducts heat. And this is really fatal to human if in case we will ingest or we can ingest mercury. Atmospheric interactions. Okay? Our atmosphere has been responsible for the development and protection of life in our planet. However, most scientists agree that the composition of the atmosphere is gradually changing because of human activities. And these changes might eventually lead to changes in Earth and changes in the Philippines, of course, because we are part of the Earth. Layers of the Earth's atmosphere. Sure, why do we need to tackle the layers of the Earth and the atmosphere? Of course, because we are part again of the Earth, and Philippines is highly affected. Covering Earth with a thick blanket of gas is the atmosphere. Okay? The different layers of atmosphere help protect Earth from a large number of meteors that could crash on Earth's surface and cause extensive damage. The atmosphere also protects Earth from the harmful rays of the sun, okay, or the UV rays, ultraviolet rays. The atmosphere is divided into five layers based on the temperature change with elevation. Okay? Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Okay? These are the five layers. Again, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. So if you're going to look at the illustration, you can actually see that the troposphere is in here. Okay, strato, okay, where the ozone layer is located, or shall we say ozone maximum, mesosphere, ionosphere, and the exosphere. Okay, let's move forward. The troposphere is the layer nearest to Earth and contains 75% of gases of the atmosphere as well as dust and water vapor. So this is the layer where your water vapor and your dust is being suspended. This is the zone where weather occurs. Also, temperature decreases with increasing height on the troposphere. Near the top of this layer is about 11 to 16 kilometers of Earth's surface, a boundary called tropopause. If it is a pause, it is a boundary. Okay? Tropopause acts as a ceiling to weather zone. Okay? Tropopause contains stormy winds called jet streams. Okay, above the tropopause lie the stratosphere. Okay, so next, it's the next layer, stratosphere, which extends upward to about 50 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. In the lower part of this zone, the temperature is nearly constant at about negative 50 degrees Celsius. If it is negative 50, it is really cold. However, the temperature begins to rise with the height about 0 degrees Celsius. This is freezing point already. The stratosphere contains the layer or a layer of ozone which keep most of the ultraviolet rays or radiation from reaching the Earth's surface. Ozone is formed when three atoms of oxygen form one molecule. That's O3. That's ozone. The oxygen that we breathe has two atoms of oxygen. That's O2. Ozone is excellent absorber of ultraviolet radiation emitted by the sun. But what is happening now because of air pollution, because of the contaminants, because of the pollutants, this ozone or O3 depleted already. So tendency is there is no one or no there is none who actually protect us from the harmful radiation came from the sun or the ultraviolet rays. That's the problem. Okay. The ozone depletion creates a big impact on the organisms of Earth, including us. And that is why it is not allowed or advisable to go outside around 3 p.m. or to go outside around 12 noon. Why? Because if you're going to observe, it's really hot and it can damage your skin. It can cause melanoma or cancer of the skin, right? Even it can actually kill some of the animals. It can cause dehydration. That is because of the UV rays. Do you have any questions so far? Questions so far? Grade 7.
On, on.
Let's continue. The zone in which the temperature is at its highest is called the stratopause. Okay? This is the end area of the stratosphere. The stratopause separates the stratosphere from the next layer of the atmosphere called mesosphere. Okay? Mesosphere, the mesosphere which is about 50 kilometers to 85 kilometers above Earth's surface is the coldest zone of the atmosphere. Near the top of the mesosphere, at the zone called mesopause, the temperature decreases about negative 80 degrees Celsius. Beyond mesosphere is the thermosphere, okay, which extends about 80 kilometers to 500 kilometers upward. Due to the absorption of solar energy in this layer, the temperature increases rapidly with altitude. Within this layer is the ionosphere, which is the layer of electrically charged particles, ionosphere. Okay? Again, in the thermosphere, you can actually see ionosphere, which is a layer of electrically charged particles, where your thunder came from, and where your lightning came from. Ionosphere contains ions that are formed due to the bombardment of atmospheric particles by the energy of the sun. These ions are useful for communication because they reflect radio waves. As a result, radio messages can be sent over very great distance to this layer. This is the reason why we can have broadcast transmission. You can have frequency transmission. You can have also your network transmission your cell phones, your communication devices. This is because of the ionosphere. Occasionally, ions glow in different colors due to the solar flares that hit the ionosphere. When this happens, the display of colors called aurora, okay, occurs. Auroras are brightest at the poles due to the depletion of the particles by Earth's magnetic field. Auroras may cause disturbances in radio, television, and telephone transmission. Are you familiar with aurora? This one? Great.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Yeah.
Okay. This aurora has an effect with the radio signals or the transmission simply because the cause of this is the magnetic field at the same time the ions that acting on it. Okay, above the thermosphere is from about 500 kilometer to 3,000 kilometer above Earth is the exosphere. Exo means outside. Okay, farther beyond this layer at 3,000 to 30 kilometers above Earth surface is the Van Allen belt, okay, which is a radiation layer formed by the concentration particles of solar winds that are held place by Earth's magnetic field. Okay, so it is actually held by Earth's magnetic field. Atmosphere and solar radiation. By the way, do you have any questions so far with the layers of the Earth? Grade 7?
No.
Okay. Let's have the atmosphere and the solar radiation. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The global temperature that we feel on Earth is the result of two factors. Number one, the visible light is converted to heat when solar radiation strikes Earth's surface. Visible light, some of the ultraviolet rays, and infrared radiation may reach the Earth's surface. Correct. The second, the sunlight is absorbed by land and oceans, warming planet surface. Some of these energies is used to evaporate water or starting now the evaporation process or to heat objects on the surface. The energy that is absorbed by converted is converted to thermal energy or heat. The second one is the heat is absorbed close to the planet's surface by greenhouse gases. Remember the greenhouse gases that I'm telling you a while ago? Such such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and water vapor in the atmosphere. The atmosphere freely transmits the sun's shortwave radiation but traps Earth's long-wave radiation. It is mainly the water vapor concentration concentrated in the lower layers of the atmosphere that acts like a glass. The water vapor is almost transparent to the sunlight coming in, but the water vapor absorbs much of the long-wave radiation going out and coming in. The water vapor sends some of this radiation back to Earth's surface and is produced and this produces so-called greenhouse effect. This warms the Earth's surface and lower yeah, and the lower atmosphere. By the way, what do you think will be the reason if there is no greenhouse effect? Grade 7? What do you think is the reason if there is no greenhouse effect? Are you still with me, grade 7? What do you think is the reason if there is no greenhouse effect? Tendency is there's no heat. And if there is no heat, plants cannot make their own food because they need this heat in order for the plant to make their own food. Okay? But other than that, if there are a lot of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, tendency is it can also damage the plants. It can also harm us. So much or too many greenhouse gas can cause also damages. Okay, this is the greenhouse effect. Yeah. Solar radiation is reflected in the earth, in the atmosphere, but instead of reflecting it back to the atmosphere, it actually bouncing back or bounce back towards the earth again, causing greenhouse effect or causing global warming if it is too many. Greenhouse effect and global warming. Energy from burning gases or fossil fuels, a process that produces carbon dioxide, has increased as a result of rising global population. This shows that the population growth will continue to contribute to increased concentrations of greenhouse gases in the future, resulting in increased global warming. Okay? Again, global warming happens because there are too many greenhouse gases and it traps heat. The bulk of the greenhouse gas emission result from human use of fossil fuels such as petroleum, natural gas, and coal. Methane and nitrous oxide that come from industry, agriculture, and waste management are also contributors to global warming. And this is now a global issue or global problem because global warming destroys a lot of things. Like for example, it destroys some crops. Okay? Farmers also has a problem with El Nino. It is because of global warming. What else? Um, Forest fires. Okay? It is because of global warming. Because of heat being trapped by these greenhouse gases, it creates fire in the forests. Okay? Air pressure and the atmosphere. Each layer of air presses down on the layer below it with the force equal to the weight all air above it. So Earth's gravity pulls the air towards the Earth's surface. Air exerts pressure on Earth. Okay? This pressure is called the air pressure. Any change in weight, the air in the atmosphere changes also the pressure it exerts. There are three factors that cause weight of the air to vary. These are number one, change in altitude. Okay? If there are some changes in altitude, there are also some changes in the weight, change in composition, and of course the change in temperature. Air pressure and humidity. As the as air in the atmosphere is heated, fewer molecules are contained in the space it occupies. So it weighs less. This means that warm air exerts less pressure than cold air because warm air is less dense than cold air. Okay? Warm air can also hold more water or water vapor than cold air. The quantity of water vapor in the air is called humidity. Alimuot. This is the reason why it is alimuot. Because the water vapor in the atmosphere has a lot of suspended, or your environment has a lot of suspended water vapor. Okay? It's humid already. Alimuot. Air is said to be humid when it contains a lot of water vapor. Some of you will be telling me, Sure, it's alimuot because rain might come coming over. You're correct. Because there are a lot of water vapor in your atmosphere, in your environment. Tendency is rain might come. Air pressure and wind. There are two general types of winds, the local winds and the global winds. Okay? Local winds are the most familiar to you. They flow from any direction and usually covers short distances. Global winds blow from a specific direction and always travel a longer distance. Both local winds and global winds are caused by differences of air pressure due to unequal spreading of air. Okay? Winds are characterized by their speed and direction. Okay? Scientists measure wind speed in kilometers per hour or kph by using anemometer. Wind direction refers to the direction from which the wind originates rather than where it is going. Like for example, um, the wind from Amihan or Habagat. Let's tackle about that later. Movements in the atmosphere. Weather is a condition of the atmosphere at a given time and place. It is affected by the solar radiation, temperature, air pressure, wind humidity, wind, humidity or moisture, clouds, and precipitation. Or precipitation means rain or raining. All of these elements change frequently. Each country has a typical average weather. In Philippines or in the Philippines, April and May are the warm summer months. This is the time that our country is really warm, while July and August are rainy months. However, these seasons have become erratic because of unusual weather due to climatic change or climate change. Again, the cause of climate change um, deals with a lot of issues with environmental factors. Okay, like for example, global warming. Okay, it changes now the climatic condition of a particular place. What else? Um, the pollution. So it changes also a lot of climatic condition. Sure. Why global warming affects climate change? Simply because global warming changes also temperature. And the change of temperature means a change of climatic condition in a particular area. The average weather in a region over a period of time is called climate. Okay? Temperature. Let's take a look at the effect of temperature in our current location or current area. When the sun is shining, air touching the land is usually warmer and less dense than air touching the water. As warm air over the land rises, cooler air from the seas moves inland, forming the sea breeze. Okay? But at night, land cools off faster than water. So air over the land cools off faster and become denser than the air over the water. This this cool air moves to the sea and replaces now the warm air. A blow of air from the land to the sea is called the land breeze. But a blow of air a blow of air from the sea to the inland, sea to the land, or sea to the inland is called the sea breeze, or land to the sea is called the land breeze. Okay? Thus, the temperature of an area is affected by the presence or absence of sunlight and by the presence of land and water. So again, this movement of air also has a big factor. Why? Remember that these airs are actually has also suspended water vapors. Okay, and movements of these also might contribute to the development of a particular climatic condition or scenarios. Okay. This is the um, sea breeze and land breeze. Okay. Air masses. Okay. Changes in weather caused by movements